And welcome back. More than 20 world leaders are gathering in Russia for the BRICS summit of emerging economies. The alliance was formed as an economic and political counterweight to the West, with members that initially included Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The group has since expanded by 4 more countries. The event seen as an opportunity by the Kremlin to push back on attempts to isolate Moscow over the Ukraine war. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons is at the summit in southwestern Russia and joins me now. Keir, the Kremlin is calling this one of the largest foreign policy events ever in Russia, with so many world leaders attending. How much of a PR win is this for Moscow?
Well, it's a PR win for sure. I mean, look, if you want crib notes on the challenges that the next American president is going to face around the world, it's a long way from Washington here in Kazan, but you could come here because today what we saw was President Putin standing on a stage side by side with President Xi of China on one side and Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, on the other side. So pretty powerful. I mean, the BRICS countries, as they are known, they represent around 40% of the world population and of world GDP, Christine. So you can't dismiss them. That being said, there are many conflicts, challenges, tensions between them. So just on that stage, for example, Mohammed bin Zayed, the president of the United Arab Emirates, stood alongside President Pezeshkian of Iran. I mean, I mentioned Modi and Xi. Of course, China and India have tense relations. There's been a question this week about whether or not they would actually have a bilateral meeting. And just from the statements that they've been making today, you saw the different agendas. So, for example, the Chinese President Xi talking about wanting peace in the world, including in Ukraine, and not wanting to, quote, pour fuel on the fire. Now, that's an implicit criticism of the US's support for Ukraine, but it's also, isn't it, sort of standing a little bit away from Russia's position on Ukraine. So we shouldn't dismiss the differences between these different countries. At the same time, what you're seeing there are adversaries of the US and partners and allies of the US standing together, and their message is that they want some kind of independence from US dominance in the world. Again, for the next American president, this is the kind of world that they're going to be facing.
Talk to us about the agenda here. We know that the Russian president has already had meetings with the Chinese president and India's prime minister.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you asked at the beginning there, Christine, about whether this is a win for President Putin. You know, in many ways, this does feel like the President Putin show, you know, Putin optics, if you like, where he's meeting with one leader after another. And the message is, you know, I'm not isolated. Despite the International Criminal Court indicting me, despite the criticism from around the world over Ukraine, I'm not isolated. But of course, this meeting is happening in Russia. The last BRICS meeting outside of Russia, he couldn't attend, and there are many places in the world that he can't go. So it's a mixed bag, if you like. Certainly, India and China, for example, have been sustaining Russia's economy despite the war in Ukraine, despite calls by the US and by its Western allies for them not to do that. They have been doing that. So the truth is that President Putin is not as isolated as the US and the West would like. On the other hand, he is diminished because although he's holding a summit like this, he has to have it in his own country.
Yeah, and we understand that President Putin is going to meet with the president of one of the newer members of the alliance, Iran, later today, and NATO member Turkey looking to join this group. What are you expecting?
Yeah, well, he's going to meet with President Pezeshkian. We were, Christine, expecting there to be an announcement. When I say we were, Iran suggested that they would sign a new agreement with Russia, and that hasn't happened. We assume it's going to happen at some point, but it's a similar agreement that Russia signed with North Korea just earlier this year. So there will be, again, I mean, to ignore what's happening here in Kazan and with these countries would be foolish. It's a sign, again, of a growing alliance between Russia and North Korea and Iran and countries like China. And that is something that is a threat, and that, frankly, the US will be hoping that those divisions that I talked about continue, because if they were truly united, that would be a real threat.
Yeah. All right, Keir, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.